Hey, on today's show, we're going to take us a nice, easy, scenic ride on Jordan Lake, right outside of Raleigh, North Carolina. Our guides today are going to be Greg and Julie Griffin. Come join us for a ride.
Carolina Outdoors with Jay Gregg.
Joining me now is David. David, good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
Thank you so much for taking us out. I really do appreciate it.
No problem.
We actually were up in the Raleigh and ran into, I think it was your brother-in-law?
Actually, my brother.
That was your brother, okay. All right, we ran into him and we saw your Lake Jordan tour sign.
Yes, sir.
And we called you up and this is how we got here. What a great idea. How in the world did you get it?
Well, actually, it's kind of a funny story. When we moved to the area, my folks were the last ones here, and there was a lot of grandkids at the time, and they wanted to get out on the lake. So we looked, and they did rent some, but it wasn't quite what we were interested in at the time. So they decided to bite the bullet, and they bought a boat. They bought a pontoon boat with a canopy on it, and we took the kids out, and they had a good time. And it was kind of later in the season. Myself and my brother had fishing boats, and they wanted to get out here, and other people wanted to see the lake, and my sister's got some friends, and she asked me to take her friends out on the lake. We ended up coming out here, and I was pointing out stuff I just knew from fishing in the area, and inevitably at the end of that trip, one of the girls said, "You'd make a good fishing guide," and I thought, well, this would make a pretty good office. So
Yeah.
started
Oh, a
up.
perfect office. Almost as good as mine. Well, tell us who we got on the boat today.
All right, today we have my folks joined us, Ron and Jean Griffin here.
And then I got my buddy Jerry and his wife. Jerry was with, you've seen Jerry on TV before, shooting quail with Bill Black Chevrolet. So let's get started.
All
Let's
right.
go riding.
Go see what we can find.
Tell us a little bit about the lake and do your thing.
All right, well, basically, Jordan Lake was put here for flood control. There was a pretty devastating hurricane back in the mid-40s, and they wanted to get something in place to hold those floodwaters back just in case it ever happened again. And a gentleman that was instrumental in getting that done was B. Everett Jordan, who was a state senator here at the time. And he started the project. Back then it was called the New Hope Project, which is one of the two rivers that flow in here. We have the Haw and the New Hope. And basically, as the project got started about 1965, they started clearing the land. It was completed in 1981, and it's about 14,000 acre impoundment, but it can more than double to 32,000 acres at flood stage, and that's why we won't see any homes along the shoreline. There is a half-a-mile buffer zone put forth by the Army Corps because our water levels do fluctuate if we have a big rain event, a hurricane or a tropical depression. So about 1969, it was when B. Everett Jordan passed away, and it was at that time that they decided to change the name from the New Hope Lake to Jordan Lake to honor him for both his hard work and donating the land that it took to get this project
He
underway.
actually donated it.
He did.
Wow.
Quite a significant amount of land. So it's about 180 miles of shoreline, which is owned by the federal government, and then they in turn lease most of that land back to the state, so the state can use this land to generate revenue with projects like campgrounds, hiking and biking trails. And the side we're on now, the Haw River side, is primarily hunting lands, and there's a lot of fishing that takes place here as well. So that was B. Everett Jordan's main goal was flood control. Secondary goal was recreational use, and they've really stayed true to that over the years. They have some of the finest campgrounds in the state here.
How deep does it get?
Overall average depth is around 20 feet. There are a couple areas around 60 feet deep, and one is by the dam.
It looks perfect for skiing too.
It's a great lake to ski on. A lot of people like to ski through the old rivers because they do wind in and out. It makes for some pretty fun times. We have bald eagle spotted. We have both northern and southern bald eagle here on Jordan Lake. And this is a southern bald eagle, and the way we know that is because our northern bald eagles have all gone north. They go north to the winter, most of them going up to Canada for the salmon run.
I didn't know there was two species.
There is a subspecies, and the way you tell them apart is the northern bald eagle tend to be slightly larger in weight. The southerns weigh 9 to 12 pounds, and northerns weigh 12 to 15 pounds.
Now he'll stay here?
He will for a while. They tend to be a bit flighty. Some you can never tell.
Look at
That
that.
one actually is taking off for us now.
Isn't that beautiful?
So some will stay there and pose for you. Others won't let you get anywhere near them. Just depends on the bird.
Keeping these eagles here.
Well, we have abundance of loblolly pine trees, which is one of the preferred trees in the area they like to nest in. Reason being, the loblolly has little or no branches till you get up to the top third of the tree. At that point, it kind of balloons out, making a great nesting platform.
Nothing can get to them either.
That's right. That's the other reason. It helps them stop predators from reaching the top. They can really see a possum, raccoon, or snake that may climb the tree to get an egg. They can knock them away from that tree with pretty good ease. That bald eagle has a 6-foot wingspan, and when they're standing, stand about 3 feet tall.
So he showed up, you saw the camera.
Like I said, the weight difference is the only way to tell those two birds apart. The northerns are slightly larger than the southern bald eagle by about 3 pounds.
I'm just tickled to see them. I mean, that amazes me every time we see them.
It's a great success story. Another reason there's so many in abundance here is a stocking program they started several years ago. They used to stock hybrid bass. They stopped doing that because they were slipping over the spillway, and some were dumbing down the traditional stripers that would come up from the coast into the Cape Fear. Well, they stopped doing that, so they started stocking pure stripers in here. And that's good, but the striper in here, they don't do as well as in most bigger reservoirs, and they don't flourish. So in the summer months, they tend to die, and we do lose a small percentage of striper, which makes great food for bald eagle and turkey and black vulture in our area.
Tell you what else I know you have, was we did a show up here a few months back. Actually, it's been a year ago now. It's crappie.
Oh yeah, this is a phenomenal crappie fisheries, one of the best crappie fisheries in the southeast. They have a creel limit of 20 per person per day, and they have to be over 10 inches in size to keep. And that's very obtainable out here. In fact, many of the bridges you'll see on the lake will have boats underneath them, and that's a common place for people to crappie fish.
And I happen to know a fellow that can take us crappie fishing too. Your brother does a guide service, doesn't he?
Yes, sir. Very, very good at that, and he will take you on Harris Lake, another lake not too far from here, and does crappie and largemouth strips.
Some of the best bass fishing I've ever been.
He
hands down.
basically took a Florida-style fishery and then brought it to North Carolina. He does almost exclusively live bait fishing, and does it very safely with circle hooks, and is very, very successful at what he does.
I know that for a fact too. Well, I'm getting ready to take me a sandwich break. Why don't y'all take one too? We'll be right back with more Carolina Outdoors.
Today's show is brought to you by Kencraft Boats, maker of Sea King saltwater boats and Bay Rider skiff boats. Visit online at www.kencraft.com for a dealer near you.
David, where are we now?
Right now we're taking a look at the dam. Basically the dam is earth jam on this lake. It's got a clay base surrounded by dirt, and then riprap or large boulders line the sides of the dam, and there's an access road that runs right across the top of it. You notice that big concrete structure on the far right? That's the intake, and that houses 4 large pipes, and those pipes stagger down to around 60 feet deep. They raise gates on the front of those pipes to control the water flow out of our lake here. Now basically once that water leaves this lake, it continues on as the Hall River for about 2 miles until it meets up with the Deep River. And when the Hall and the Deep meet, it's the start of our Cape Fear River, and that runs down through Wilmington and out to the Atlantic Ocean.
That's the beginning.
The beginning, the headwaters of the Cape Fear start not too far from here. Yep, and we have an overflow hill on the left side, and that is basically to protect the dam from breach. If the water ever gets above a certain amount, it will free flow over that hill rather than affect the integrity of our dam here. It's never been breached.
I see what you're talking about. There's the dam, and then over here.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
Now, basically, we had 26 feet of extra water in here. That was during Hurricane Fran, and everything did its job. That water was held back, and towns like Fayetteville and beyond were saved from any kind of devastation as far as the floods were concerned.
How about the house up on the hill there?
Well, basically, that's the Army Corps of Engineers office building and headquarters up there. They also have a visitor center open Monday through Friday, and they have an observatory deck, which is a pretty good place to see bald eagles in the summer months. A lot of people have the bird sanctuary to go to on 751 side, but if you're on this side of the lake, it makes a great place to observe not only the bald eagle, but the osprey and blue heron as well. A lot of people like to come take a look at the visitor center, as well as go down the hill. You can see the spillway below, and we even have some folks that'll park up on top of the dam, and you can walk across and do that at sunset. We call those folks our dam tourists. They are adding hydroelectric to our dam. A company out of Tennessee bought the rights to Jordan. They're working at Falls and Kerscott Reservoir in North Wilkesboro. and they suspect they'll be able to generate enough electricity to power around 1,700 homes with the water that leaves this lake naturally. And they'll be able to ship that power right over to the grid at CP&L and distribute that power from there. So with our ever-growing community, it's nice to have that extra resource at hand.
All natural,
All natural.
for the most part.
Well, yeah.
Joining me now is my good friend Jerry McPherson. He's the general sales manager for Bill Black Chevrolet. Of course, you've seen Jerry on the show before, hunting quail with us at Beaver Pond.
That's right.
I tell you what, Jerry, we came down last night, me and Richard, there and spent the night with Johnny. He invited us up. Man, I'll tell you, that is one of the neatest preserves I've been to.
Very nice place. We just had a great time over there quail hunting the other year, didn't we?
Well, I'm gonna tell you what, coming up here to North Carolina, I'm finding some of the neatest things. I mean, like this right here, Jordan Lake Tours. Isn't this nice?
It is very nice. This is the first time I've been here in a long time. I grew up here in Chatham County, I think you might remember.
Right.
And I was telling Richard that in the mid-70s up to the 80s, when they let the water come in here, the Army Corps engineer was working on this thing, and North Carolina Wildlife turned it over to the to let us hunt. And I did a lot of quail hunting up and down all these bottoms up here.
And now it's underwater.
Now it's underwater. But, a lot of fun while it was going on.
Tell me this, how's the car business?
Car business is good. We've got a lot of things going on, a lot of new product coming out. Got the nice Silverado trucks, the Suburban Tahoes. Got the Chevrolet Cruze. Sold our first Volt last night.
Really?
Electric car. Man bought it last night, took delivery of it, and just tickled to death with that. So that's an up and coming thing for us. The Volt is an electric car. It'll go 30 miles on the electric charge on the battery.
Right.
If it needs to, then if the battery runs down, we have a gasoline-powered engine that kicks in, and you can run on several hundred miles with that, or you can run back and forth to work. You got a charger made with the car. You plug it in at night. It's charged up.
Just
the
a
next
regular
morning. Just
outlet?
Yep, regular 110 outlet, and just plug her up. Just go back to work the next morning.
Do y'all have some more at the dealership?
That was the only actual one for sale we have. We have a demo for people who like to come by and drive it.
Right.
Love you.
And you can
Love
order them or whatever?
Yeah, we've
I'd
got
love to come look at one.
Another one coming. So yeah, come up and drive the thing.
Sounds great. Well, I'm gonna let you get back to enjoying your tour.
Okay. All right.
Thank you,
Appreciate
buddy.
that. All right. Thank you.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Jordan Lake Tours. I was talking to your brother, Greg, while we were bass fishing.
Yeah.
And we were tearing them up too. But while we were fishing, the subject of arrowheads came up. And he was saying there's a lot of arrowheads in this area.
There are, and especially this time of year, our water levels this time of year are low, usually 3 to 6 feet, which is pretty normal for this time of year. And we have some people that come out and actually look for arrow points, pottery, and tools from the Indians, and they find them. There was a lot of activity along these rivers. They were basically highways back then for the Indians. I believe 2 of the groups were the Catawba and the Carolina Sioux. And they do constantly find those artifacts here. They do house some of those artifacts at the Visitor Center at the Army Corps of Engineers. And there's a lot more represented at the downtown Raleigh at the Natural Science and History Museum.
That were found right around here.
Found right in our
I wish you hadn't
local
told me
lakes.
that, because I want you to pull me over. I love finding stuff like that.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's kind of neat to know a lot of stuff took place here years and years ago.
David, now on top of your boat. Man, this is nice. This is really nice.
See it?
Tell us about the cypress trees.
Sure, these are bald cypress trees, and these were actually planted by a local fisherman who noticed some of the hot spots he liked to fish were getting eroded, and he heard these trees were great for erosion control. And they are that. Whatever you see above the water as far as foliage is what's below the water as far as root structure. So it's very immense root systems here. And whereas most trees will send roots down to get water, these actually send roots back up to get air, called cypress knees. And those cypress knees create a great habitat for a lot of our local species of animals. Those roots will be a hiding place for a lot of fish, and turtles and snakes will climb amongst the roots to get to the snakes, as well as sun themselves. And we have a lot of birds that will walk along the shoreline trying to snag those unsuspecting fish from the root systems as well. It's a very slow growing tree, but a very long lived tree. These trees in Florida, there's a stand of them that are 600 years old, which means they were here when Columbus got here.
We've got a lot of them in low country.
Yes, sir. They are naturally occurring in North Carolina, but these were, in fact, brought up here from the Cape Fear, I believe.
I did not realize they were 600. They can live that long.
They can, up to 100+ feet tall as well. A very durable tree. These are youngsters, anywhere from 15 to 20 years of age. They're one of the few conifers that actually are not evergreens. They do lose their leaves,
Right.
and it's this time of year they get this burnt orange or rusty color and will drop their foliage, and then again in spring will be a bright green tree.
There's some more cypress over there planted. I guess that same fisherman planted those too.
He did. He planted quite a few around his hot spots that he liked to fish. In fact, one of the islands he planted those trees on is called $1,000 Island. And the reason being, I heard, was because he won over $1,000 fishing tournaments around that thing. So that's why he was so interested in keeping it intact.
You know, the leaves are already changing on those trees. It's getting ready to be like a firework.
It is. It's really pretty out here. We have a lot of evergreens. You have that base of green background, and then a lot of the oaks and the other hardwoods will start changing. We're almost there. Usually the last week in October, first week in November, after that real first cold snap I think we're getting in a couple days, those leaves will really change quickly. And you don't get much of it. It's not like the mountains, but lasts about a week and it gets real nice.
So you need to book quick if you're going to do it in the fall.
Yeah. It's
What's another good time to come?
One of my favorite times is in the spring. I like any time, but the springtime's real nice, especially around early to mid-April. We get a lot of flowers blooming at that time. It's nice after the doldrums of winter to get out here when it starts warming back up. And you get a lot of the birds coming back into the area to nest. And we have a rookery on the lake that's absolutely spectacular. Double-crested cormorants, blue heron, we have bald eagle, osprey, all nesting around the lake. It's a great time to see that activity.
You see a lot of them?
We do, quite often. In fact, there's so many. There's actually a morning shift and an evening shift here. They do have the ability to hunt throughout the day and at night.
You have two boats.
Actually, I do. I have another boat that's a little smaller than this. If you have a smaller group, small family group, it's a lot more comfortable for that size. And then I have this because I found a need that with the school groups, retirement communities, office team building, I needed something with a little more seats and a bigger venue for folks.
It's extremely comfortable.
Thank you.
It really is. I tell you, if somebody, I didn't think about school groups, this would be a great nature tour for schools and corporate events. How would they get in touch with you? What's the best way?
Sure. Well, we have a great website, jordanlaketours.com. And that's really the best way to find us and find out all about what we do, and pretty comprehensive website.
And you've got a lot of pictures and stuff on there too?
We do, yeah. And we always, we're on Facebook as well, Jordan Lake Tours, and you can go on Facebook and like Jordan Lake Tours, and you can see what other folks have posted as far as their experiences out here on the lake.
Folks, y'all looking for a good trip, a great corporate outing, school, nature viewing, you need to give David here a call. Of course, Julie's going to answer the phone more likely.
Yeah, she takes all the calls and coordinates tours and does a much better job than I ever could.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed our tour of Jordan Lake here in North Carolina, right outside of Raleigh. We sure had a good time, a good relaxing time. I'm going to keep relaxing. Till next week, get out and enjoy your Carolina outdoors.